Hey y'all, sorry I'm late. I had an eyelash stuck to my eyeball. I switched on my eyelashes and I got one glued to my eyeball and I was like, um, eyelash trouble, disaster averted. I think I can see. Possibly, possibly not. Anyways, way to start off the day. Well, actually, I've been doing all sorts of stuff today. So I'm going to play the intro. We're going to get into this. If you haven't heard about this case yet, buckle up because this is some of the most insane miscarriage of justice that unfortunately, there's many, but this one in particular just was ruled on this week. It's a case from 2018, but this is absolutely horrifying. And to see how much this is happening and so much just gets overlooked is horrifying, truthfully. Well, happy Saturday. We are going to start with this case. This is Amethyst doing, once again. Her and Kyle always get me in the best rabbit holes. Well, this isn't a good rabbit hole, actually. This is truly horrifying, honestly. Hey, Julie. Hey, Marcy. I can't believe that this stuff is real, that this is really what we're dealing with, but it is. It's really what we're dealing with. Ooh, Marcy, good. You'll be ready for the discussion tonight because that is quite the story too. Out of California also. So for those of you guys that don't know what's going on with this, we're going to go through some of the news articles on this case. I tried going back to find some of the original articles on this. I did find some. I do have some screenshots, some of the older stuff in my phone, so I'll read some of those. But the headline of this, California woman who stabbed boyfriend 108 times, sentenced to probation and community service. She was given probation for 2 years and community service of 100 hours. 100 hours after stabbing her boyfriend of like 3 weeks. They'd only been dating like 3 weeks at the time. She stabbed him 108 times. What? So this trial was back in 2018. Like I said, sentencing just happened this last week. An expert at Bryn, I think it's Spectre trial, testified that she was suffering from cannabis-induced psychosis at the time of the 2018 attack. Mind you, hey, Phoenix Fire, how are you? Cannabis is legal in California. Let's just clear that up. Cannabis is legal in California. So she stabbed her boyfriend more than 100 times and also stabbed herself. And it's been claimed that she also stabbed the dog. This is just mind-blowing. The judge defended his decision to spare Bryn prison time. From that point forward, she had no control over her actions, he said. I actually looked into this judge too. A California woman who was facing up to 4 years in prison for fatally stabbing her boyfriend more than 100 times during a drug-induced psychotic episode in 2018 was instead sentenced this week to 2 years probation and 100 hours of community service. Last December, Bryn, 32 years old, was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter in the killing of her boyfriend, Chad O'Melia, 26 years old. The Ventura County Star and the Los Angeles Times and KTLA reported from the courtroom. She had been facing a possible 4-year prison term ahead of her Tuesday sentencing hearing. On May 27th, 2018, prosecutors said Bryn fatally stabbed. This just makes me so sad because the story altogether is just so much BS. His name was Chad. His name needs to be said. Chad isn't getting justice. He was an accountant inside his Thousand Oaks, California apartment approximately 108 times after the couple had smoked marijuana together, the Ventura County Star reported. She also repeatedly stabbed herself. You can see the scars on her neck and her face. According to the Ventura County Star, police officers who responded to the scene said they found Bryn in a pool of blood holding a knife. They reportedly had to use a taser device and a baton to disarm her and take her into custody. During the trial, a medical expert testified that Bryn's behavior was the result of cannabis-induced psychosis, the LA Times reported. According to the National Library of Medicine, a diagnosis of the disorder is given when hallucinations or delusions materialize shortly after consuming cannabis. Bryn's defense attorneys claimed that their client was involuntarily intoxicated and that Chad had allegedly bullied and intimidated her into smoking the last bit of marijuana, according to the Ventura County Star. Chad's family faced Bryn in court on Tuesday's sentencing hearing, where she expressed remorse for her behavior. My actions have ripped your family apart, she said, per the Ventura County Star. I am broken and aching inside. I heard that you never see Chad again. Shane O'Mela, the victim's brother, grieved his loved one at the hearing and shared the difficulties of knowing Bryn had been out on bail since her arrest in 2018. She's been out on bail. She has been out on bail. And now she gets 2 years of probation and 100 hours of community service. Make that make sense. It's been 5.5 years. Where has she got to live? Where she has got to live with her family, and we get to live with a box of ashes, Shane said, according to KTLA. Ventura County Superior Court Judge David Worley defended his decision to sentence Bryn to no prison time. From that point forward, she had no control over her actions, he said, referring to the moments after she smoked the portion of marijuana. Bryn's attorney, Michael Goldstein, agreed, calling the sentence a fair and accurate reflection of conduct that he claims was out of his client's control, according to the LA Times. Tell me what you think. Who in here has heard this story so far? I know Am has. Anybody else hear this story yet? We're going to look at some of these articles because we're going to look at what the dad said too. This is just absolutely maddening, in my opinion. How do you even get to this? How does this even happen? Let me switch screens here. Make sure you guys can see this one. And the fact that, look at how many people are in prison currently for crimes committed while smoking marijuana and have tried to use that excuse, and it's been constantly disregarded. And they made the victim in this case in the courtroom, from what I've read, they made him into like somehow he was the bad guy. He forced her in some way, shape, or form to smoke marijuana out of a bong. Meanwhile, it's been stated that she has smoked before. Now, let me tell you, another thing that ruled in type of this, or in her favor, in my opinion, was the fact that she was also a doctor. She's a doctor of audiology. So she was a doctor. She received her doctorate in audiology from Washington University School of Medicine in St. Louis, an affiliate of the Central Institute of the Deaf. Dr. Bryn received the Max E. Goldstein Award for Professional Promise and Academic Excellence. So they absolutely used her standing, in my opinion, to play a role in this too. What type of thing? Yeah. You know what, Julie, though? DUI drivers in the same county, I actually went and looked at some of the current cases. Some of the DUI drivers have gotten tougher sentences than she got. Tougher sentences. And she stabbed him 108 times. Like, there's no mistaking how many times he was stabbed. Let's look at this. Let me turn the volume on.
Outcome to a case out of Ventura County. A Thousand Oaks woman will serve no prison time for stabbing a man more than 100 times. She was found.
Originally, her case was she was charged with manslaughter, and it was pled down to involuntary.
Guilty by a jury, but she was also found to be in a cannabis-induced psychosis.
NBC4's Connor Dickerson joins us live from
Jim Jams, right? You know what this opens the door for? Absolute pure. There's people sitting in prison on cannabis-related charges that have been in there for like 20 to 40 years.
From the Ventura County Courthouse with the outrage from the family of the man killed and what the prosecutor has to say. Karma.
Yes, that man killed was just 26 years old, stabbed 108 times by a then 27-year-old woman. Now, the prosecutor wanted jail time. The man's family wanted jail time, but a judge disagreed.
When this woman was wheeled mumbling and bloody from a Thousand Oaks apartment in May of 2018, all that was clear publicly at the time was that she was hurt and a man was dead. It would turn out that she, Bryn Spetcher, killed the man, Chad O'Melia, in a marijuana-induced psychotic state. And Tuesday, a judge decided she would not serve any prison time for doing it.
This guy just gave everybody in this county a license to kill people after they smoked marijuana.
That was Chad O'Melia.
That, sadly, he set an awful precedent. Ventura County, California.
O'Melia's father, Sean O'Melia's reaction when he heard Spetcher was sentenced to probation. Not an appropriate end, as he sees it, to the events that unfolded that night.
She inhaled, and then from that point on, she went into a psychotic state shortly thereafter. She
inhaled? No, she did not just say that line.
Took 3 different knives from his kitchen.
3 different knives. 3 different knives.
And she slaughtered him, penetrating every major organ, all over his body, his face.
Spetcher stabbed O'Melia, the man she was dating, over 100 times. The two had smoked marijuana, and Spetcher had a catastrophic reaction. Prosecutor Audrey Nafzinger says body camera shows the woman didn't even realize when police had arrived.
When they arrived, she was kneeling over him, covered in blood. He was dead on the ground, and she was stabbing herself with a 10-inch serrated red knife, covered in blood, in the neck multiple times. She severed her carotid artery, or she cut her carotid artery, nicked it. They had to tase her 4 times.
Prosecutors in defense agree that the marijuana led Spetcher to a cannabis-induced psychosis, which is why she was charged with involuntary manslaughter, not murder.
And it's just another way that somebody can become psychotic under the influence of a mind-altering drug. Marijuana is a mind-altering drug.
It's also legal in California. And from my understanding, it wasn't her first time smoking it either, according to her friends and people that knew her. So to try and make it seem that the victim gave her no option, bullied her into smoking a legal drug. Again, cannabis is legal in California. She is a doctor. He was an accountant. They'd only been dating for like 3 weeks. She went to his home. This just pisses me off.
A jury convicted Spetcher last month. The prosecution requested the maximum sentence, 4 years.
Well, let me tell you, when people become voluntarily intoxicated and bad things happen, we do find that legal consequences need to happen. People need to go to jail.
However, the judge disagreed.
So what about all of the people who drink and drive and hit somebody and kill somebody? What? They're claiming, Donna, that it was a strain that potentially was like 20% or more. They have no idea. They even tried to say in one of the articles that I read that it was OG Kush. What? Cannabis can do some crazy things, but it's legalized in this whole thing is just absolutely insane. If somebody was to drink and drive and get in a car accident and kill somebody, which is another legal substance, I don't even know what to think about it. Yeah, it was only marijuana. It wasn't laced with anything. There was nothing else in her system. It was just THC, and they couldn't even get like the amounts of it. It wasn't like this crazy amount or anything I don't even know. I'm so disgusted by this whole thing for the family. I can't even, this poor family. We're going to look at this.
I'm not happy with.
We're going to look at this. This is Chad's dad. She has been like the face of this whole case too. Chad, well, and let me tell you another horrible story that happened too. His mother, Chad's mom, died 18 months after Chad died. From the articles I've read, she was a severe diabetic and she didn't take care of herself afterwards and ended up having some heart issues and passed away. So they've had nothing but tragedy in this family, unfortunately. This is from News Nation.
I'm not happy with David Worley, Judge David Worley. Now he's opened Pandora's box. Everybody that smokes marijuana and kills somebody, there's a precedent. I'm a person of a very strong spiritual belief. My mother has told me that my path to see Chad again is through forgiveness of this young lady.
The fundamental fact that drove this case, and I believe the decision of the judge, is that Miss Bacher was in a marijuana-induced psychotic state at the time that she committed the killing. She was not, according to all the experts, she was not consciously aware of what she was doing. Evidence of that was illustrated during the trial by the playing of what's known as body-worn video footage from one of the deputies who arrived on the scene. And we all saw that after stabbing Mr. O'Melia numerous times and killing him, she stabbed herself in the neck numerous times. She was literally out of her mind.
I'm not happy with
David
Worley, Judge David.
You know how many people harm themselves? Yeah, the poor father, and the fact that his mom actually took and made a victim's impact statement too, and said how she, forgave the girl. Did she lose her doctor's license? You think she lost her doctor's license? She's an upstanding member of the community. That's been stated over and over again. Can you say privilege? Can you imagine? Let's just take this for instance. What do you think this would be if this was a man? Let's reverse roles. And let's say this was a black man. Do you think they would be saying psychotic from a cannabis? Yeah, Jim, there's a lot of studies that say that it can do a lot of different things, but it wasn't her first time smoking. It wasn't her first time smoking either. Can you imagine if the genders were reversed in this? Just think about that for a second. Think about that. This is such a miscarriage of justice, and many of the articles are pointing up. Pinks, I'm absolutely bringing it up because it's relevant. She is a white woman, and that is white privilege from top to bottom, and if you ask me. Sorry. Not only is it white privilege, it's a huge miscarriage of justice. Oh, Pinks, please just let's if you can't understand that this is absolutely fucking sad and ridiculous, that she's not even spending an ounce of jail time, she got community service for 100 hours. Should we go compare it to cases down there? You're recording this for my future. Oh my God. People can't even. Go look at the cases that are similar to this. Come back. Actually, don't come back. Pinks. First of all, I don't care why. Yeah, we're just gonna get rid of you because I never said I wanted an open border either. We talked about the reality of that situation, but please carry on. She should go to jail. She should go to jail. In my opinion, she should absolutely go to jail. Absolutely, she should go to jail. If you can't, you know why I brought that up? You should go watch the documentary 13th on Netflix. For any of you, watch that documentary. As somebody with white privilege that was inherently put into me, that's an absolutely am 100%. We can look at, Am's been sending me stories all the day long about all of the miscarriages of justice and how the victims lose their voices. This judge didn't care about the victim at all. Not one bit. What about the victim? Yeah, Jim Jam. Yeah. It's okay. Some people just like to. I've never seen that account besides the other day anyways. It's totally fine. Let's go look at one of these. Let's go look at this other one. Let's go look right here. Oh, and her community service, the 100 hours of community service has to do with education of psychosis around cannabis. That's what she has to do her community service around. And it states that it's legal. Shouldn't she be, I think, let me see if I can find that article right quick. Because the dad said something about she should at least have to, maybe it's this one. Hold on. There's so many articles on this right now. This is just such a miscarriage. And it sets a horrible precedent. Let me make sure this is the one. Give me 1 second. Here it is. Sorry, I'm reading through because there is. Yeah, here we go. This is a good one. This is a good one. Okay, this is from the New York Post. This is Dad Rages over probation for California audiologist who stabbed son 108 times, a license to kill. So it says, we'll just play it through. Make this full screen. Pause. Go back here. Oh, it's going to have an ad. Sorry, give me 1 second. Of course, it's going to have an ad. Make sure you guys can see it. Yeah, you can. This stuff has just gotten out of control. Out of control. That's a long ad. Okay. Wait, what's it? That's not the right one. Why did it go on that? Hold on. It gives us an ad and then gives us the wrong one. Let's try again. Oh, why is this one laced with... This is all ads. Okay, I'm just going to read it, you guys, because it's all ads that are just going to continue to pop up. So we're just going to read it. A heartbroken dad warned a lenient California judge established a de facto license to kill by sentencing his son's killer to probation this week after she stabbed him 108 times in a pot-induced frenzy. There is no respect and no responsibility for anything anymore, Sean O'Meara told the Post Wednesday. If you can stab someone 108 times and get probation, we're going to have nothing but anarchy and chaos. Bryn, now 33, had taken a hit of marijuana from a bong while at victim Chad O'Meara's house in Thousand Oaks apartment in 2018 when she suddenly began attacking him with a knife. Despite ingesting a single toke of a standard pot leaf, Bryn was launched into an extended rage, stabbing the 26-year-old accountant 108 times. Lawyers for Bryn and audiologists argued that she wasn't responsible for the bloody slaying because of her intoxicated state. There you go. There she is. There's her arrest photo with her wounds. Her wounds did cause her to have surgery. The Ventura County District Attorney initially charged Bryn with manslaughter before a new DA downgraded the rap to involuntary manslaughter. The lesser charge carried a maximum term of 5 years, but Ventura County Superior Court Judge David Worley declined to impose any jail time, instead opting for 2 years of probation and community service. The wrist slap astounded O'Meara's father, who said his son had only known his killer for a few weeks after they met at a local dog park. She was given a free pass for murder, he said. I'll say this without reservation. The judge was biased the whole time during the whole case, and he proved it with this sentence. The parents said that the weed had been purchased at a local dispensary and that there were no other reports of it inducing psychotic episodes in others. He said he believes that Bryn had a predisposition that made her susceptible to marijuana-induced psychosis, but said she wasn't deserving of jail time. The father ripped Bryn's defense for shifting blame to his son who had purchased the marijuana. My son did nothing to that girl, he said. He showed her nothing but kindness. She's the one that asked for it. O'Meara recalled getting a knock at his door after the incident and seeing 2 sheriff's deputies standing in front of him. The officer told him his son was dead and that the scene was too gory for him to go view. We're just so angry, so disappointed, he said. There was no justice here. O'Meara said he was also concerned Bryn or someone else could hurt somebody in the future, blame it on mind-altering substances, and receive a little punishment. That judge just gave everyone in the state the license to kill, he said. Okay, that's not the one. There is one article that he states. Hold on, let me see if I can. There's so many of these. This is just horrifying. Yeah. The mom, Donna, did you hear me say that the mom died 18 months after Chad was killed? It's just terrible. Just a horrible situation. There's so many of these. And he was a successful young man, too, that had a whole life ahead of him. A whole life ahead of him. Let me see if this is... There's one where he talks about he would have at least liked to seen her locked up into a mental health facility for a period of time so that they could review and study what causes marijuana-induced psychosis, because if she had it one time, he would have liked to see that. I'm trying to find that article. That's the one I would like to read, because this one says toxicology reports found only THC, the primary mind-altering chemical in marijuana, and no other drugs in Bryn's system. Like many, she had a bad experience with marijuana, and then she viciously slaughtered an innocent man who was sitting in his house expecting to have a nice night with his girlfriend. She carved him up. We recognized and took into consideration that she was under the influence, which is why we charged her with manslaughter. If she had driven under the influence of marijuana and killed someone, she would be in prison. The fact that this young, white, attractive, middle, upper-class woman gets to walk out when anyone else would get jail time is disappointing. Now, this is from This, here, let me show you guys what article I'm reading. This is right from this article that has all these ads all over it. This must be a local website for California. My goodness, there are so many of these. But this is right here. This is so sad. There, this is right here. This right here is where it says what I just read. It's been pointed out by many people, including the people that worked on this case. That's why I said what I did. Reefer madness, right? Truthfully, right? That's, I mean, they both, the prosecuting attorney and the O'Melia family, expressed dissatisfaction with Judge Worley's conduct. Sean O'Melia even called him out in open court over his bias against the prosecution, the victim, and the victim's family. How horrifying. That was Ventura County Senior Deputy District Attorney that made the statement. The fact that she is young, white, attractive, middle, upper class woman gets to walk out with when anyone else would get jail time. That's who said that. And he's a handsome young man. I mean, seriously. Their only recourse is a civil lawsuit at this point. The O'Melia family can take solace in knowing that the case that had ruled their lives for half a decade is finally over. I'm so grateful for the support I've gotten, Sean O'Melia said. In the community, there's some amazing people. I'm glad the jury exonerated my son and they saw right through the nonsense her attorneys were putting in front of them. Then it goes on to explain what a cannabis-induced psychosis actually is. And it's got an ad for all of that. Anyways, there is article after article on this, though. It's just a disgrace. They really, yeah, this one says it too. In 3 years since Hart High School graduate Chad O'Melia's death, his family has been forced to grapple with their grief, even as they fielded accusations from his killer and her family about Chad's character, stating that he had allegedly bullied Bryn into partaking in marijuana before his death. What? Am, did you ever see anything that came across? I couldn't find anything why it drug out so long. I know COVID and the courts were locked down. And then the charge got reduced. But was it just COVID that hung it up for so long? Because this happened in 2018. This was almost 6 years. Yeah, I was just quoting basically verbatim what the attorneys have been saying and the family, because this isn't, they actually brought in character witnesses too about this. There is a whole lot more to this. Yep. Yeah, there's no justice in this. How is this justice? The only thing I could figure out with how long it took was that there had to be a hang up with COVID to begin with. And then I don't know why it took so long, because that's an awfully long time too. I don't know if all of the courts were down there. I was trying to see if the courts were delayed and everything just got pushed back, but I couldn't tell. And I couldn't find an article that explained verbatim what hung it up. I don't know if her defense team hung it up, possibly. I'm not sure. It's a really freaking sad case. Oh, somebody said this. Somebody already said this in here. Let me pull you guys into this one. It's got a bunch more ads. This is all over, though. All of the news stations have been covering it, but somebody said reefer madness. Well, that's what they titled this one. Somebody said knife killer in reefer madness case gets sentenced to probation. Let me find the one, if we can find one that says what her 100 hours she has to do. I feel the judge displayed bias on a level I've never seen before, the father said. All this does is give a license to anyone who smokes marijuana to kill somebody. Just terrible, though. The defendant's attorneys, of course, praised the judge, calling him courageous and possibly even correcting the judge's guilty verdict. He was courageous. This judge was courageous. Yeah, 3 weeks earlier at 10 p.m. on May 27th, 2018, a Memorial Day weekend, Bryn asked Chad, whom she'd met about 3 weeks earlier, if she could come hang out at the condominium home he shared with two roommates, Megan Place, just off Thousand Oaks Boulevard. At some point, O'Melia decided to step out to smoke some marijuana from his bong. Bryn asked if she too could take a hit, and then after claiming she wasn't feeling anything, took another. So there's a contradiction. Bryn began feeling like she was going to vomit and had blurry vision. She shared concerns with Chad that she believed her ailments were life-threatening. She told law enforcement officers. Then the voices started. Bryn reported having an out-of-body experience sometime after midnight on May 28th, in which she saw her own dead body and heard voices telling her that in order to live, she had to hurt Chad. The last thing she remembers, she testified, was seeing the hand, hers, with a knife. One of Chad's roommates, who had already gone to bed for the night, came downstairs, alarmed by the noise, to see Bryn stabbing Chad, whose last words were asking the roommate for help. The roommate called 911, and when the sheriff's officers responded, they found Bryn shrieking as she kneeled over Chad's body, now stabbing herself in the neck with one of the 3 knives she used in the killing. When repeatedly stun guns failed to make her drop the knife, an officer used a baton to whack the knife away. Chad was pronounced dead at the condo. Prosecutors initially charged Bryn with murder, but after psychologists agreed the woman had experienced a marijuana-induced psychosis, the district attorney's office changed the charge from murder to voluntary manslaughter, accompanied by a handful of special allegations. It took the jury only hours to find the young woman guilty. Can you imagine how that jury feels? Only took him hours to find her guilty, and then she gets community service. Worley, too, took almost no time after hearing impact statements from friends and family of both O'Melia and Spector before pronouncing his no jail time sentence, with brought audible gasps and questions from one side of the courtroom and sobs of relief from the other. Through no fault of her own, the defendant was out of touch with reality, the judge said. The O'Melia family went into sentencing already feeling dejected by the legal system and doubtful there would be justice for their late son. I've gotten a life sentence without my son. He was just a kind human being, said Sean O'Melia to the Acorn. I really don't believe that I have found any justice here in Ventura County, nor has my son been given any justice. What he and other members of the family did finally get were apologies. Okay. At no time in the 5 years and 8 months since the stabbing had Bryn apologized or shown remorse to Chad's family. The family members noted during their impact statements. When it came time for Bryn's supporters to speak, family members and finally Bryn herself apologized. Bryn said she wished she could go back in time and change her actions, but it was a moment between the fathers that moved both sides of the room to tears. While at the podium, Bryn's dad turned to Sean to say how sorry he was for the pain and anguish Sean was enduring. It was then O'Melia reached out from this front row seat and took Spector's hand. That's sad. That's freaking sad. The dad is the one that has more. What? You guys think this was just? Anybody in here think this was okay? I would love to hear somebody argue for this. I would love to hear somebody say that this was an okay sentence. What are you getting out of this? Michael, right? I thought it was a misprint at first. I was like, there's no way. There's absolutely no way. There had to have been something. There was nothing. They'd only known each other for a few weeks. She gets 2 years of probation and 100 hours of community service. That's not even 3 weeks of full-time employment. That's what I'm wondering, Donna. Like, I don't know if they did a full psychological evaluation. I'm assuming they did, but I don't know. Michael, I am not sure if they can or not. it took the jury hours to find her guilty. And then, you know, all she was facing was 5 years as is. Yeah, stone fight. No. In California, that's the thing. Am's been showing me like a ton of different articles from California, and just many of them with the miscarriages of justice. This takes the victims' voices away. This type of stuff continues to take the victims' voices away. And this is one of so many cases down there. Well, world, not just California, but there's a lot of them in California. But the victims' voices are completely nullified. They're completely, our system is so backwards. Road Rash, I'm curious if she even lost her license to practice. She's a doctor of audiology. Is she safe to practice? I don't know. She will go to jail because she has been on bond since this incident in 2018. Marcy, it did. Yep. That's why I couldn't believe it. Am, do you care if I show one? I don't know if you're still in here or not. Do you care if I show one of these other ones? If she doesn't care, I'll show. There's an Orange County one. Orange County, this is from 2017. Let me read this to you. Becky with the thin hair. Good question. Very, very good question. Orange County judge told to impose longer sentence on man who sodomized toddler. Trigger warning. This is from 2017. This is from Santa Ana, California. An Orange County judge who imposed less than half the mandatory sentence on a man convicted of sodomizing a 3-year-old girl was ordered to re-sentence him. In 2015, Judge Mark Kelly sentenced 21-year-old Kevin Nieto to 10 years in prison rather than the mandatory punishment of 25 years to life. On Tuesday, an appellate panel handed down an order for Nieto to be resentenced to the mandated term. A formal resentencing date was not yet set. On June 4th, 2014, a then 19-year-old Nieto was playing video games in the garage of a Santa Ana home when the little girl he was related to wandered into the area. At some point, he became sexually aroused by the toddler, pulled her pants down, and assaulted her, according to officials at Orange County District Attorney's Office. During the assault, the girl's mother was looking for her and attempted to get into the garage, but it was locked. The mother then searched for her daughter in a neighbor's home. Nieto is said to have put his hand over the girl's mouth to keep her from crying for her mother. He then made the toddler touch his privates. Nieto then blocked the garage door and let her into the home where her mother found her. Moments later, the mother found out what happened when her daughter complained of pain. The judge said, while looking over the facts of Nito's case, there were no indications that the attack was intentional. The attack was intentional. The judge said it was not intentional. There were no indications that it was intentional. He added that the defendant almost immediately stopped and realized the wrongfulness of his act. Meanwhile, it states that he covered the little girl's mouth. The judge also cited a doctor's report that Nieto had a difficult and abusive childhood that made him insecure, socially withdrawn, timid, and extremely immature young man. Kelly's ruling angered a lot of people, with some calling for his resignation. Yeah, that's from 2017. That's from Orange County. You can look it up yourself if you want to see it. Am sent me a bunch of these that are like this. What do you even say is happening? Like, and this isn't just solely in California. There's more and more of these. Yeah, true. That would be true. In New York, you look up the New York's physician's profile to see if they have a current license. There must be a site for California. Oh, good question. I'm assuming, let me see. Let me see if I can. I might be able to just put in. Let's see if we can find out. You would think if she, I don't know. I don't know. This is just too much. Let's see. How many of you guys had heard of this case? I'm sure some of you have. We had an online stalking case which involved a 30-year-old autistic lad. The judge gave him 7.5 years, then recalled him from the cells, said he'd made a mistake, and gave him 9 years instead. Can that even happen, though? I'm not a legal expert, so I don't even know. Can that even happen? Hey, accounting by day. I don't know if anything can even like that can happen, to be honest. Public document lookup. Check your doctor's license. Let's see. I don't know if she'd be listed in just the regular. She would be. Occupational therapist. Hold on, you guys. Let me look and see. I don't know what she would be necessarily. She would have to be an audiologist. But could she, right? Yeah, Donna, I've never seen anything like this. The case that we're going to talk about tonight, after a while, the one with American Nightmare, is truly horrifying too. And it highlights many different cases that never have gotten justice. Still, so many of those have never gotten justice. I did a search on some of those, and none of them have ever gotten justice. I'm thinking she must not have a license anymore. I don't know if she does or not, truthfully. This site doesn't seem to have her, unless I'm looking under the wrong thing. She should be listed as an audiologist, which she could have an occupational therapy license too. Not sure. She should be listed on here as an audiologist, but I'm not. Let's try that. Let's try an occupational therapist. Not positive. Not finding it. No, Michael, supposedly not. No, that's not supposedly the first time she's ever smoked. And she actually asked to join him smoking. He was a user, like a daily user almost. That was his choice. But she actually, according to what other statements have said, her friends have said that wasn't her first time. And she had taken not one, but two. There's conflicting stuff, but people said it was the second time or the second hit. That's what she claimed. Of a bong, too. Of a bong. We have a true crime murder here in Memphis. Let me ask him. Hold on. Asking Am. Nope, Tazzy, it was not. In the tox screen, it was not laced with anything. All that was present was marijuana. That was it. Yeah, that's true. It is what it is. That is true. Nope, nothing was laced. According to the toxicology screens, nothing. The only thing in her system was standard marijuana. That was it. And her statements even reflect that. They say it's psychosis, cannabis-induced psychosis. I know that some people can have bad reactions to it. That's why I wish I could find that article. Hold on. Maybe I have it up on my phone. There was one article where the dad talked about how he wished that they would have at least held her in some type of mental health facility. Oh, this might be it. Oh, it might be. Yeah, that's why I didn't look at it. It's from the Daily Star. The Daily Mail. The Daily Mail is the other one, which is, you guys know, pretty tabloidish at times. But she was given 100 hours community service. Let me see what here. Doctor of Audiology saw her change. Her charge reduced from murder to involuntary manslaughter. We knew that. This followed expert witness testimony that stated the attack was 100% triggered by cannabis-induced psychosis. We know that. On the night of the attack in May 2018, Bryn, who was not a regular smoker, but had smoked before, took 2 tokes of a bong containing high-potency weed supplied by Chad. Then he was 26 years old at his Thousand Oaks condo. Minutes later, she began suffering hallucinations, telling her to grasp a bread knife and plunge it into Chad's abdomen. The voices told her to keep going with the assault as it would bring her back from the dead, according to court reports. She also stabbed her dog several times, as well as herself in the neck and the face, and required emergency surgery to save her life. Now speaking, she actually got her carotid artery. Small wildflowers. It's almost like she didn't even get as many hours community service as she stabbed him. This is just crazy to me. Now speaking exclusively to dailymail.com. Again, it's a tabloid, so take it for what it is. The victim's father, Sean, who oversees construction at UCLA, has passionately rallied against the Ventura County judge's claim that no custodial time is necessary for Bryn, as she was not in control of her actions. We have laws. Why should she be given special treatment? He said. There are right now people in jail for just possession of marijuana. We can't apply our laws based on someone's age, skin color, and occupation. Again, not my statements. This is stated by other people, and like all these articles, even though I agree highly. The marijuana is being sold all over Thousand Oaks, and you don't see hundreds of people dead everywhere. There's clearly something unique about that girl's chemistry that meant that this happened. Studies have shown that using high-potency cannabis with THC percentage above 10% just once can at least double the risk of psychosis. Meanwhile, a major 2019 review published in the Lancet found using this strength of drug nearly regularly can increase that risk 5-fold. Bryn's attorney suggested that the weed she inhaled was likely a high-strength strain called OG Kush, ordered from an illegal dispensary a week prior to Chad's death, which contained 31% THC. 31%. However, blood tests could not confirm this. The expert witnesses estimated the strength could have been between 12 and 16%, according to court records. Sean, Chad's dad, highlighted elitist statements made by Bryn's younger brother in his closing address to the courtroom, in which he said she's not the type of person that belongs in jail. What does that mean? I couldn't believe it when he said that, Sean said. That's Chad's dad. The type of person who goes to jail is someone who breaks the law. You cannot have predetermined understanding of a person who goes to jail. What, she can't go to prison because she's educated, female, and young? According to the data from the U.S. Department of Justice, the lifetime chances of being sent to prison is the highest. See, I'm going to get in trouble again. Right there. That article right there. You see what it says? It says black men. I'm just reading what's there. A black man is living in the United States has a 1 in 4 chance of jail time during his lifetime compared to 1 in 23 for white men. Around 1% of U.S. women will go to prison at some point. Sorry, I'm just reading what's there. I already got my ass jumped for even putting hypotheticals and comparisons out there. Research has shown that this discrepancy is due to a number of complex factors, one of which is an inherent bias among police, juries, and judges. The judge brought it the defense's pathetic victim-blaming argument, Mr. O'Melia added. The entire case was based on blaming the victim. It was very difficult to sit through, he said. By this, he means the frequent reference to Chad's regular use of cannabis. Testimonies from friends seen in ByDailyMail.com revealed he smoked the drug daily. If Chad was home, he was high, said his housemate. Sean argues that his son's marijuana habit was used to imply he had tricked Bryn into smoking from his bong. It's absurd, he said. You can try to say what you want, but the facts remain. All that happened is that they both smoked marijuana. No, I know you're not, Donna. I know you're not. You weren't. It was the other person that was pissed at me for bringing that up. I've read it in all these articles around this case all day long. It's something that points it out. Unfortunately, we can't ignore this stuff. It's just what it is. I hate to say it. And who knows what all played factors into the judge's ruling, but whatever it is, it's totally outstanding that he didn't even, not any jail time. None. Mr. O'Melia revealed that although he was aware of his son's drug habit, he was not the greatest fan of it. I hate that stuff. It stinks, he said, calling a cannabis a demotivator. It changes people. He, Chad, didn't smoke around me or in my house because he knew I didn't like it. To my understanding, most of the time he would smoke weed before he went to bed because it would help him sleep. He accepts that cannabis was a major contributing factor in the death of his son, added the widespread legalization of the drug is a disaster. After Chad's death, I talked to a doctor working in the specialist cannabis research unit at UCLA about what happened. They looked at me as if I was talking about something that's taboo, but they all know is real. They said, yes, it is. Psychosis is a real thing that can happen. So why doesn't everyone know about it? Chad certainly didn't know about it. The O'Melia's attorney urged the judge to issue Bryn the full sentence for her crime, 4 years in custody and at least a year of community service. Sean also advocated for this, but now suggests a secure hospital may be a suitable place for the woman who killed his son. At minimum, she should have been remanded to time in a secure hospital, he said. This is that part. So that people have had the opportunity to understand what is unique about her body chemistry that meant this event occurred. She hasn't accepted that she is the missing link here. If medical research could be done, then at least something positive would come out of it. Sean has also detailed the heart-wrenching moment he broke the news to his son's brutal death to his ex-wife, Chad's mother, from whom he is separated when Chad was 5, and who died 18 months after Chad was killed. When asked about how he learned of the tragedy, he said through a broken voice, I cannot relive that moment. It is too painful. I told the sheriffs that I would tell Michelle, Chad's mom, myself. I didn't want her to learn about it the way I did, he said. I asked her to sit down and looked into her eyes, and I said, Michelle, Chad has been killed. She looked at me, and it broke her. It literally broke her. You could see it in her eyes. After the funeral, she became very depressed. When you lose a child, you think, am I ever allowed to be happy again? There's this guilt. She wouldn't let anyone take a picture of her smiling, and this led to her decline. Michelle has suffered type 2 diabetes, stopped looking after herself and adhering to her treatment. A year and a half after Chad's death, she suffered major heart dysfunction and died shortly after. I was in disbelief. I still am. To think she is gone and my son is gone as well. Perhaps the most touching moment of the sentencing hearing was a statement read by Chad O'Melia's grandmother, Sean O'Melia's mother, who immigrated to the U.S. from Ireland decades ago. Holding back tears, she said, I want her to know I forgive you. If I do not forgive, the Lord will not forgive me. Remarkably, Mr. O'Melia, who is practicing Christian, echoes a similar sentiment. The bottom line is whether on this side or the next, I'm going to see you, Chad, again, he said. And in order for me to see my son again, I must forgive her, and I have to forgive her. It's just that right now, in this moment, it's difficult to live in that place. That's from the Daily Mail. So, yeah. Right? It's crazy to me. Is anybody in here thinking this is okay? Has anybody said anything that this is okay? Tazzy, I agree. It's such bullshit. It seems so weird. Small wildflowers. And I think that's what the dad's advocating for, or said, at least if they did some sort of research on her to figure out what caused her psychosis of the time, I don't know. But obviously, can it be overruled? I wish I knew. I don't know. I obviously probably not. She's been on bond all along. This was in the early 2000s. Let me look. Depending on the genes of the MJ and the strength, it can cause psychosis if she was already prescribed antipsychotics, and it's a potent mix. I don't think they mentioned, I haven't seen an article that mentions any antipsychotics on her, like in her system. The only thing that I saw that they've mentioned is the only thing in her toxicology report was the marijuana. Oh, Wise Angel. Yeah. Yeah. It does. It can make people, there's some strong strains out. There's some stuff that's laced, but hers was not laced. They did confirm that there was nothing. I don't know. It's just really sad. And I know like certain people, like they will say that they don't even, for kids, that they don't, certain places will suggest that kids do not even use medical marijuana, even if they have chronic pain, because it can do something to the development of the brain as a child's growing. But there's other people that say that it, there's just not enough research on the kids seeing the stuff with the kids, but it's been legalized in California for a long ass time. A long time. I don't know. It would be interesting to see. She has rave reviews from friends and stuff too. Bree, right? Right? I've never even heard of. I mean, was she just in psychosis? Was it directly? How can they directly link? Was she just does she have bouts of psychosis in general? Maybe. I don't know. It just seems so off to me that she's not getting any jail time whatsoever. I've had some weird reactions to different strains of medical marijuana, so I cannot. Sativa and me do not get along at all. Yeah, that's you're right. Small wildflowers. You're right. Tea, right? I know. I've heard of psychosis before, but not cannabis-induced psychosis. I've never heard it directly correlated to just cannabis. I've heard meth-induced psychosis all the time. But shit, even people, I think, let me look. Oh, you're fine. You're totally fine, Am. Am's like, sorry. No, you're fine. Oh, Kyle texted too. We're trying to find out if her license has been revoked or not. Because she is, just call you small. I'm like, blah, blah, blah. I've had some horrible reactions to sativa myself, but other than that, I just stay away from it. And the worst thing it does is make me feel like I peed my pants. That's it. I just don't like the feeling of it. But I've never had any like out of body experience. Eat the whole fridge, yes. Let me see. Let me look and see. Hold on. Let me look. Meth-induced psychosis. Psychoactive substance-induced psychotic disorders outlined with the ICD-9 codes F10. So it's just considered drug-induced psychosis. That's crazy. I'm going to have to look. So there's definitely crimes linked to meth-induced psychosis before. Right, Tazzy? It opens up all of this stuff. Michael, you saw the article that had, well, it's still on my screen. Reefer Madness as the title. I mean, you called it. Knife killer in Reefer Madness case gets sentenced to probation. I don't know. I wish there was some sort of recourse for this family. It makes me so angry. So angry. She obviously, I don't know. I don't know. I don't even have the right answers. It just seems so far-fetched. Appetite suppressant. Hyper. Indica makes you sleep. Yep, that's how I am too. Yes, Bree, that's how I am too. None of them do? Oh, all of them do. Every single one of them do to me. Every one of them. See, Wise Angel, don't. That's what we were talking about too, is people who kill somebody in a drunk driving accident. Hey, Cash, how are you? How are you feeling, dude? I hope you're feeling okay. Like if somebody gets in a car accident and kills somebody behind the wheel, they usually sometimes they get reduced to involuntary manslaughter, but they usually spend a couple years in prison. I've never heard of anything like this, ever. I read it to, Am sent it to me last night, and I read it to Kyle, and he was like, wait, what? What? They let her off on that? Yeah, and they usually spend jail time. She gets 2 years probation. I wonder if it's supervised probation. None of it is said yet. I'm sure it's supervised probation. I would hope it's supervised probation. And 100 hours where she has to educate about cannabis-induced psychosis. 100 hours, not even 3 weeks, 40 hours a week. And they asked for a year of community service. Craziness. Yeah, that's true, Small. That's true. Donna, they would enhance the charges. That's why I said what I said when I said that. Like, there is such a miscarriage of justice here, and it continues to happen. Our system is so freaking broken that this could even be a thing. And there seems to be a lot of it, as the story we're going to talk about tonight with American Nightmare. That's from 2015 in California. And there's many cases throughout different counties in California that are highlighted in that still haven't gotten justice, even though they have a lot of evidence, but they never charged them. What is it going to take for people to, how are we going to ever, victims' voices are being completely smeared. Bree, me too. I'm a complete advocate of medical marijuana. Totally fine. And recreational, if that's what you want to do it. I've never heard of this. I've never heard of anything like this. Never once. I'll have to look and see if we can find any that they've tried to use this as a defense before. I know that they used meth-induced. I've already found that. But cannabis-induced as a get out of jail free of stabbing. Like, let's put this into perspective too. It's not like she was behind the wheel of a car high and hit somebody accidentally going through a crosswalk. She stabbed him 108 times and then cut her own carotid artery. Exactly, Small. That's what the dad's saying, though. That's why the dad said, like, there was bias. What the dad felt was bias. A jury trial, it took the jury hours to find her guilty. It is what it is. The dad said that they felt bias all along because they kept bringing in, character witnesses, and she's an upstanding citizen, and she's this, she's that. She was a doctor of audiology, and she helped with the death. Great. Wonderful. Good people do stupid shit all the time. Doesn't mean she should not be punished for what she did. She took a man's life. We see people that claim self-defense in situations. The whole thing's weird. T, how are you? Hey, Kathy P. Hey, everybody. Sorry, this is just one of those ones that I'm just like stunned by. I know I pissed that guy off when I said, or guy, gal, whatever, when I said that. I was only highlighting what all these articles continue to say. You have to start acknowledging this stuff. We have to start seeing that these are miscarriages of justice. The victim, I don't care who it is, the victim's voices are being tarnished in every single one of these. The victim's family's voices, the victim's, all of it across the board are being tarnished. Like, they don't have a voice. These are miscarriages of justice until the victims get justice, which this right, Kathy? I was shocked. And I'm not going to not say, the dad has every right to feel that way. He sat in the courtroom every single day and heard what was said and how it was turned on his son that he tried to bully her into using marijuana. Feels like back to peer pressure when they use that as an excuse in middle school, or when they used to say marijuana was the gateway drug. Now it's, I guess, the drug for murder. Absolutely, Tazzy. I'm with you. This wasn't even a slap on the wrist, to be honest. I just feel so bad for Chad's family. Losing his mom, too, 18 months after this. Yes, Sean and the mom had separated when he was 5. But still, that takes a toll. All of that has to be really hard on that family. And then to have this happen, and what? I've never heard that ever said. It is what it is. I would love to see the court transcripts of this. Maybe we can get our hands on them and see the court transcripts afterwards, because that would be, I'm sure it would be maddening. Her license is suspended. Thank you, Anne. Thank you. I don't know, Wise Angel. I'm not legally in that arena. I don't know if the prosecutor can appeal because the jury found her guilty within hours. Thank you, Am. Thank you so much. I tried to find it, and then I was like, thank you, Am. License status delinquent. Expiration date 2022. Suspended. Okay, so she must be suspended. I bet she'll be back. I bet she'll get it back. I have a feeling after her probationary period, she'll probably get it back. Yeah, that's Bree. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that too. That's what I was thinking too. Very likely she had some sort of psychosis, but even people with psychosis, if they're competent to stand trial, they're usually sentenced. I don't know. I don't think they can do anything because this was a jury trial. She was facing 5 years for involuntary manslaughter. I don't think they can. Thank you, Am. Am's my smart one. I'm just stunned. I'm stunned by this. I don't think there's an appeal that they can. Double jeopardy. So, yeah. What Cash die? Hold on. My grandparents got killed by a drunk driver, but before they could test. Oh my God, Cash, I am so sorry. No remorse whatsoever. See, that's what it kind of sounds like what the family felt in this too. I'm really sorry. The Marine on the subway in New York being charged. He stopped that man from hurting other passengers. Unfortunately, that man died, but he had like 40 prior arrests for it. It's a strange world, right, Road Rash? It just seems so outlandish that this just happened. I don't know. And I still would like to understand why it took so long. I know COVID shut down, so I know the courts were backed up. So 2018 to 2024, 5 years and 8 months is what they said. Yeah, Cash. In case it's fully closed. Thanks, Am. Thank you so much. Yeah, I agree with you guys that she had some sort of psychotic break, or something. Yes, Tazzy, they can do a civil suit. That's what the article said, is that that's their only avenue of recourse is a civil suit. So will they? I don't know. Hopefully, unless they get new evidence for a greater murder charge. Is that possible? I wouldn't think so, because she's already been found guilty, and this is just her sentence, is 2 years probation and 100 hours of community service. So they would have to find something like premeditation or something. I don't even know if that would overturn it, to be honest. They can do a civil suit in the depositions. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't think anything else could have happened, truthfully. Yeah, Kathy P. The judge The judge has the right to sentencing orders. And I guess we have mandatory minimums. Oh, yeah, Cash, I'm sure. I'm so sorry. Not going to happen. Yeah. Well, yeah, it played out. Jury found her guilty. She was sentenced by the judge. So I think their only thing that they could do is a civil suit at this point in time. I can forgive. Who's this? Let me look on this page. I thought that's what that was. Trill. I wonder who that is. Yeah. One-sided story to a heinous criminal act. Cash, is there any recourse for your grandparents? Is there anything that they can do? I just like to let them have fun. They identify themselves. Nobody gives a shit. We all know who it is. You think Becky with the thin hair coming into Becky's chat is just by chance? Yeah, that's horrible, Cash. I'm so sorry. So sorry. 1996. Holy shit. Yeah, so that's been a long ass time ago. I'm so sorry. We're talking about that case with the marijuana-induced psychosis.
Oh, fuck.
That shit's crazy. That's just crazy stuff.
Right.
We got a new troll. Look at. Look at. Hold on. Becky with the thin hair.
That's it?
That's it. That's all the exciting.
Yeah. Keep trying, dude.
They're not really. They just start commenting to be noticed.
Yes. Okay. Important things.
What are you doing? Oh shit, Supercross is on. Kyle's gotta go. What'd you say, Cash? Hey, Smiles. That's really sad, though. That's freaking terrible that there was nothing that you guys could have done either. It just feels like the victims' voices continue to get... Nothing happens. There's not recourse for a lot of these things. Like once it's played out through the court system, there's nothing else. And a lot of times the civil suits drag on for hours or for years and years, and they've already been put through this for half a decade. You know, I can't. And his mom already passed away. Like, this takes a toll on people, the court system and everything as a whole, the victims. And then to have this, like, how heartbreaking. I just feel so bad for his dad and his brother. So bad. She's been out living her life the entire time. Truthfully, she's been out on bond ever since. All along. All along. She'll get her license back as soon as the case is closed and she's off probation. Again, she might have been a great person. She made a mistake. Somebody else's life was cost. To think about this, like, to put this into perspective, my sister is in prison. My sister is in prison currently, and she never murdered anybody that I know of. For drugs, because she's an addict. Addicts get more time and sent to prison, where prison is not rehab. It doesn't fix the problem. Ooh, Devious. Yes, I'm glad you watched it. We're going to talk about that tonight too. Gosh, I got to say it that way because I'm not going to know. With my look, somebody would be like, well, did you know this? Hey, Twist, how are you? It's just mind-boggling though. Like, and she should be in prison. I'm not saying she shouldn't. She should be. But prison is not rehab. But yet now you have a woman who stabbed somebody 108 times and isn't going to see a day of prison. She's got 100 hours of community service. She's not even going through, you know, the court-appointed drug programs that so many states have and counties have. Those are longer and tougher than what she's getting. Oh, right, Devious. We're going to talk about that tonight because that is such a crazy story. And that freaking Colonel Mustard, Detective Mustard, some of the shit he is quoted saying in there, absolutely wanted to go through the phone and smack that guy upside the head too. Devious, have you heard of this story? 108 times. She stabbed him 108 times and she's getting 2 years probation and 100 hours community service because they claim that she had cannabis-induced psychosis. Yeah, Cash, it really is. It really is. This is out of California, too. Just sentenced this week. The stabbing took place in 2018, and she was just sentenced this week. The jury found her guilty of involuntary manslaughter within hours. Ex-hub's child has a DUI, a vehicular manslaughter case. He was sentenced to 2 to 5 years and was released early. They did a civil suit. It was $3 million split between co-defendants. They will never see the money. Yeah, that's the other thing. There's usually a lot of these people will never ever see the money, ever. Yeah, Devious. It is maddening. The judge. Look it up. Oh, Twist. Yeah, if you guys are just coming in, that's what we've been talking about. This case out of California. Hold on. Let me go back to one of the articles, the better articles on this. Here we go. Pull this one up. This happened this week. California audiologist, so she's a doctor, who stabbed her boyfriend 108 times in a cannabis-induced psychosis gets a slap on the wrist. I would say not even a slap on the wrist, to be honest. Will it play this time? Hold on, let's see if it'll play. Last time it gave us. Oh, it's not going to give any audio. It's just giving you the slides. She got 2 years probation and was ordered to perform 100 hours of community service. She's been on bond since this happened. She had no control over her actions when she entered into a psychotic episode and stabbed Chad 108 times. They're blaming the cannabis. Experts for the prosecution and defense both found that the marijuana bong hit given to Bryn threw the woman into a deadly psychotic episode. After Bryn, that's her name, had killed Chad, police found her covered in blood and still holding the knife, which she plunged into her own throat when cops tried to disarm her. She had 3 knives that she went and got. Chad's father, Sean, slammed Judge Worley's ruling as a biased, adding he just gave everyone in the state of California who smokes marijuana a license to kill someone. Absolutely freaking wild. No, twist, toxicology says that they weren't. Her toxicology screen came back with only marijuana in it. She's a doctor of audiology. Her license is suspended until the case is closer. She's off probation. Yes, she willingly used cannabis. They tried to make it into that he bullied her into using it. But in her own court statements, there's stuff that says that she asked if she could have a hit, took one, and then took another. So, yeah. Yeah, and it was not laced. Toxicology screen shows nothing was laced. The only thing that was in her system was marijuana. 108 times he was stabbed. 3 different knives. Then she stabbed herself. She cut her carotid artery. And one of the articles, I think a couple of them say she stabbed the dog too. Thank you, Am, for always saying that. Thank you. This is Amethyst's fault. Am found this one. But this is another miscarriage of justice. This is another where the victim's voice is the victim. This is not justice. She was only facing a max of 5 years to begin with. The jury, it got put to the jury. They found her guilty within a couple hours. Right, twist, we were talking about and comparing it to like a DUI. If you were in a car and drinking and driving, just because cannabis is legal in California, that's where this happened. If she was to be behind the wheel in a drink, like you can go and compare it to all sorts of cases, and this is just completely outlandish. 100 hours of community service, 100 hours. That's what the one lady said in the, hold on, I'll find the exact article. And that's what they said. She needed life-saving surgery, but she was talking or mumbling when they were taking her out on the gurney. Could she have nicked it? She couldn't have. I don't know. I don't know. And devious, her 108 times. 108 times. And what she has to do for community service is educate on cannabis-induced psychosis. Stuff with cannabis-induced psychosis, education. She's been out. Twist, right? I know. This is what we've been all like up in arms. The dad said, please go read articles on this if you're interested and read why I said what I said earlier. And I said very strongly some stuff earlier in this about the miscarriage of justice in this. The reason why is because the dad was pointing it out over and over again. So it's just a shitty situation, really shitty situation. I feel horrible for the dad. Yeah, Michael, she was still, it took them 4 times to tase her. I think she definitely was in psychosis. I would say that she had a psychotic break of some sort. But to say that it was cannabis induced, Cash, I think absolutely they deserve humanity, but I think she should have to serve her time. I mean, even if she would have gotten, like what the father said, some inpatient at a psych hospital or something for research purposes to find out more about that type of, I don't know. I don't know what the right answer would be, honestly. Thankfully, I'm not having to sentence people because I don't think, but I think that she should have served some sort of time. It's just so weird to me. You see so many people get these like extraordinary sentences. Had her pumped. Good call, Ann. People suffering psychosis, go figure, but at most 2 out of 100,000. Oh, yeah. You're talking about the other case. Yeah, Cash. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, totally different. But that's the whole thing. Like, some of these cases are just, I don't know, Twist. I don't know. Honestly, it's so wild to me. I can't make rational anything out of this case. Truthfully, I can't rationalize it at all. Because like we were talking, DUI, somebody that goes into psychosis and kills somebody when they're drinking, do we call it alcohol-induced psychosis and give them a slap on the wrist? I mean, I don't know. I don't freaking know. Gosh, I just hang your sound off. Too busy on your Discord calls, Cash? Hey, Miss Leah. Spandex, it's warm here. All right, y'all. I'm out. I'm going to go finish dinner, and then we will be back to talk about American Nightmare. Yeah, it is what it is. Amethyst. It's just so maddening because somebody like this gets away with it, doesn't serve any time, isn't going to serve any time. Amethyst Monster is getting let out. Completely should never see the light, in my opinion, ever. Our system is so fucked, and the victims are who continue to be the ones that are. In that other article that I read, you guys, that she sent me, in 2017, like the judge had to be made to resentence that guy. Like, this is just ridiculous. Yeah, rewrite, right? I know. I don't know. And wonder why, right? And you wonder why victims don't report a lot of stuff. And you wonder why victims keep feeling like there's no justice in any of this stuff. I don't know. Absolutely ridiculous. But I just hope the family, like, I feel so bad for this family. That's all I can say, because it is absolutely horrifying to see yeah. Hey, Marion. It totally is. Yeah, totally is. Okay. I will see you guys all in a little bit. We will be talking after a while about American Nightmare. If you guys haven't watched it, we're going back to California for some more miscarriages of justice tonight. So we will see you guys all in a little bit. Bye, y'all.